Okay, call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Niardowski.
Present.
Trustee Keenley.
Present.
Trustee May.
Present.
Trustee Perns.
Present.
Supervisor Bussie.
Present. Any public comment? No public comment. Let's go to the consent agenda. If there's no need to address anything individually, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the authorization of payroll bills for the town fund, general assistance, road department, and sewer, and then my reports on social services, employment center, food pantry, youth services, adult and family counseling, transportation, and financial.
So move. Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Niardowski.
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee May.
Aye.
Trustee Perns.
Abstain.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, then the discussion and potential action on the approval of minutes, April 17th, 2023, regular board meeting. Are there any, let me get a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion on the minutes? Pardon?
Do I abstain because I missed the last?
Yeah, you can abstain if you, yeah. If there any discussion on the minutes?
No.
If not, roll call?
Trustee Niardowski.
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee May.
Abstain?
Trustee Perns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, presentations, we have none. Let's go to reports. Let's start with the assessor.
Well, we were just notified this week that the deadline for exemptions has been pushed off until August. What that tells us is that tax bills are really going to still be late because those all have to be on file so that they can be applied appropriately for the second installment. So that was problematic. You have my written report. I did bring along a letter that was addressed to me the 18th of this month. Connie, I was struggling with my senior freeze form for a few weeks ago and finally went to your office for help. Brian not only completed it for me, but when I asked for directions, he went over every item and wrote down where to find the information on my forms. It was so easy, and I am so grateful. The office was friendly and welcoming. Everyone was calm and helpful. Annette, who made the appointment by phone, Lori, who greeted me when I came in, Brian, who actually did the work and gave me some education. After leaving my house, I was back home in 15 minutes, really. Just wanted to tell you thank you. And that was from Lois Colapret from Elk Grove Village. But that's what we look forward to, that kind of feedback and what the kind of service we try to provide for all of our taxpayers. And that's my report.
Okay. Clerk?
I have a written report. We had one FOIA request. They were asking for information about the village instead of the township, so we let them know to contact the village. No filings this month, and just a few upcoming events. Most of the elected officials are attending the Elk Grove Memorial Day program, which is Monday. And we will be in, just mark your calendars, 4th of July parade in Mount Prospect, and the Elk Grove Parade, I think it's September 16th. It's a Saturday in September. Also, I'm going to be working with Corey on market days in both towns and a possible booth at the block party in Mount Prospect. They might not have booths this year, so we will check into that. Any questions?
Yeah, I would emphasize the parade, the market days and the block parties. Those are things where we have staff and trustees participate or elected officials participate, but that we can work out with one or two people. On the parade, we like to get everybody out there. You should have your shirts I don't know if you don't have a shirt, then,
Izzy was going to order more. I can check with her if she did.
okay, we check with Sue Ellen if you don't have a shirt, so that we have T-shirts and we have the polo shirts. And what we do is we have the bus and one of the buses and the food pantry truck, and then we walk along and throw out candy. And usually we're near the back by the Lions Club, which is the last one, and then we're near the back of it by the time the kids are totally overwhelmed by candy. We don't go through it quite as fast then, so. So anyway, so that, yeah, please keep those parade dates available. And then Corey and Sue Ellen will work with people to see who can maybe help out on the market days. I don't know if we can be in the block party. Sue Ellen was just telling me that on the block party, they may, because there is a dispute with the veterans, what am I saying, with the Chamber of Commerce in Mount Prospect, that there may not be a business expo, which we had participated in before.
At least this year, yeah.
At least this year, yeah. So we'll see on that. Okay, is there anything else?
Nope.
Okay, the supervisor's report. I'm going to go down a variety of things. First of all, in terms of the remediation, we filed our with the IEPA, our documentation for the completion of the remediation work. I think Paul took it in, had to take it down to Skokie today. Did we? Nope, didn't happen.
I did, they don't accept them there, they don't file there, you can only file those things in Chicago.
All right, so we still have the documentation we have to file for the remediation with the county. We tried Rolling Meadows, they don't accept it anymore. We tried Skokie, they don't now accept it. So we got to go down to Chicago. And I think I would, as a side comment, I would say that if the township were ever eliminated and our services were moved to the county, this is an example of what would happen. Is people coming in for the assessor's office to appeal their taxes or try to work on their exemptions would now have to go downtown Chicago. There's not even access in the suburbs anymore. So, okay, well then once that's completed, we will be finished with the remediation work. We will officially have our no further remediation required. And at that time, we will sit down with the village and work out some arrangement with them in terms of the financial considerations. The second thing is construction. If you have been in back, and if it's still light afterwards, anyone who wants to go back there, the bathrooms are, the bathroom work for the challenge course of the bike safety is largely completed. A lot of the wiring is completed in there. The bike safety room is also been pretty well completed. So the indoor work is near completion. Outdoors, with the demolition has been finished. The fences are up. Well, the demolition is almost finished. The fences are up. They're digging up the asphalt right now. And then the next stage would be to kind of move forward with the actual challenge course in bike safety, and then to put down the new asphalt for the parking lot. And so we're moving along. And I think I can't give a hard date because we always run into issues in terms of inspectors, in terms of supply chain, but we should be done sometime in summer. Now, one little change on this is that what we may do is it looks like we're looking at taking that bike safety room and actually turning it into a youth program room. The youth program room would be used by Renee and her staff for running their programs rather than having it in here, because we have a significant demand for these spaces for other purposes. And also, the activities that take place with the youth services can beat up a room pretty good. So what we would be doing is taking that bike safety room, which we have cleaned up, and we're planning originally to use it still for bike safety, turning that into youth services instead for their indoor programs. And then one of the rooms off of that would be used for storage. We will clean that out as well too. The bathroom, the entry to the bathrooms would still be through that space, and really wouldn't make any big difference. The only thing that would be different was that the bike, would be different, is the bikes would be stored in the old road and bridge space. And that shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see how that goes along. We've got to eliminate a number of the bikes. We've got way too many bikes. So they'll clean through those and then store them in the road and bridge space. And I don't think the bike safety doesn't need doesn't have the same space needs that the youth services does. So that is one sort of change on this. The cost would be very minimal to do that, and it would give our youth services department a much needed space and a little more of a consolidation of their operations more to the back of the building, where there's parking, where there's the challenge course, where there's all of that. And the bike safety will be moved to another space where we just need to store bikes anyway, bikes and helmets. Okay, in terms of hiring, we still are out trying to hire a therapist. We have a waiting list for the adult and family counseling. It's difficult. It's hard to find therapists, and even harder to find therapists that meet our specific needs. Right now, we have our director, who is also a therapist. We have 2 full-time therapists and a part-time, and we'd be adding a third, which would probably allow us to eliminate that waiting list, but the demand continues to grow. It's a reflection of the changes economically as well as demographics in our area, and it's an indication of where our services are increasingly needed and where that focus is, which is social services, youth, and adult and family counseling. We're right in the sweet spot there in terms of where there's demand. So we're out looking for a therapist, but it has not been easy. We will be hiring a bike safety director. This is usually a part-time position. There's some discussion that maybe this part-time the bike safety director would be maybe a permanent part-time, sort of like Ed is on the youth services side, where he's permanent part-time. Well, if you look at youth services, it's Renee, and then you have Ed as permanent part-time, and Jill is part-time. She's not permanent part-time. She's just called in contractually when she's needed. Ed has so many hours a week that he provides on a part-time basis. This person would potentially be just a part-time, or there's some discussion of maybe she could provide some additional services to youth services, and she would be permanent part-time. So that is being looked at. So those are the 2 positions we're looking to fill. Paul, we filled the front office space there too. Would you mention that?
Will I mention it?
Yeah, what we did, who she is.
I don't know too much about her. I wasn't in on the
Oh,
hiring
okay.
process, but I talked to her a little bit today. She's younger, seems to be able to absorb stuff very quickly as opposed to some of us older people.
And the thought process behind bringing her in and what we're trying to accomplish there?
There's Izzy came up with an idea as far as how to break up the positions up there. So one person is dedicated to these various things, like Debbie currently is in charge of the transportation side of it. So all of the calls, or most of the calls, will be coming to her. It's easier that way. We think it's more efficient. Mandy, who was at the front counter, is now going to be moving into that desk where Izzy used to be, which is outside Erica's door. And she does a lot of the social media things, the flyers that we put out for social media, things like that. So she's going to be more able to sit there and concentrate and do stuff instead of every 30 seconds there's somebody coming in that door all day long. So it's hard to take a position and add things to it when you're constantly working with people that are coming in the door and calling. So, and then the person at the front will be just that, but they're the receptionist. So they'll be the person that will be seeing all those people and then doing other things on the side that won't be, something they have to concentrate on.
They all 3 can do passports?
What's that?
But all three will be able to do passports?
Yeah, Debbie and Mandy do it all currently, as does Izzy and Kasha, and then this person will be able to do passports as well after they pass the test.
Yeah.
So, and we're doing a lot of passports right now. The federal government, I think, is out, they said like 9 to 11 weeks on passports after we get it to them. So, there's still a big demand, people are calling all the time.
And then I assume they're gonna be cross-trained too. The three of them are gonna, in general, be cross-trained, so if Debbie's not in one day,
Yeah, and there's multiple people that know that. Erica helps out on that when needed. Izzy can step in at any time, and Mandy is still helping with that. They still take calls. When Debbie is on the phone, they'll ring someplace else and they'll pick them up.
So the thought process here is to have specific primary responsibilities, social media and other media responsibilities, along with, and then another for the transportation, the call setups, another one for receptionists, with all three of them being able to do passports, and then cross-trains where they can support each other as well, too. Debbie is maybe a year or two away from retirement, so we need to bring in people and get them trained, because I would think at some point we'll have to bring somebody else in, and we want to make sure that the other two are ready to fully cover Debbie's position. But I think we're trying to clearly define primary responsibilities, cross-train, but also make sure that we have experts in each area.
Are those walk-in services or are they appointment services to get a passport?
Passports are by appointment only.
By appointment only,
They have to
okay.
Work that around their schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Miriam do passports for Spanish speaking?
Miriam does, and
Okay,
Kasha
good.
does. They're both on the other side of the building. but,
Okay.
Miriam does people that speak Spanish.
Yeah,
That we
okay.
don't have anybody on that side that currently does that.
And the primary person on that has been Debbie, though, in the past, hasn't it?
What's that?
The primary person on passports has been Debbie, right?
Debbie, when Izzy was there, before
Yeah.
she got her promotion, she did a lot of passports. So, yeah, but between everybody that's up there has been doing it.
Yeah. It's, the number of passports we're doing has been growing rather substantially.
We actually have Ellen, the senior transportation department person, is actually trained. She took the test and passed it as well. So even in a lurch, she could move into that as well. And then Kasha's on the, no, Kasha can't. Anyway, we have plenty of people that can do those things, that are cross-trained.
Okay. So that's a little bit of a, Izzy is since she's taken off assistant administrator, has really tried to take a look, sit back and take a look at how we're structured and making sure we've got job descriptions for every position. Not only if we need to hire, we've got the description, but also for reviews, for doing reviews, that we're reviewing them based on their job descriptions. And also, it just clarifies in the people we're working with what their primary responsibilities are. Over the years, it's been a little bit loose, and we're trying to tighten this up a little bit as we are becoming a bigger organization, and as we have more and more responsibilities. We're just trying to tighten this up a little bit in terms of what people's primary responsibilities are, what their ancillary responsibilities are, and how they can be cross-trained. Make it a little more structured and a little bit more understandable for us and for them. Okay. Also, we had the Community Service Day. Was that last Monday? No, last Wednesday. It was very well attended. We had the DMV here. We had the State Treasurer's Office here. We had, what was the health group's name?
Oak something, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a group that connects people that need help with health services. And then we had our various social service departments have a presence here too. And then the Lions were here doing Sight and Sound. They didn't have their bus, which usually draws a little bit more, but they still had a good number of people with the Sight and Sound. We're looking at doing the Community Service Day twice a year. It won't necessarily have the same groups, but there'll be a core group that'll be there most every time, a couple core groups, obviously us, and probably the DMV, particularly now they're able to do real IDs. They'll be able to do real IDs here as well, too. And the treasurer's office said they'll come every time, but we'll try to add a little bit more or adjust things every community service day. One of the days, too, we're looking at working, we do shredding days with the Mount Prospect Lions, and we're going to do that with the Elk Grove Village Lions. We do the Mount Prospect Lions shredding day at the Recplex at Mount Prospect. We would do the shredding day with Elk Grove Village Lions Club here, and maybe do it on one of the community services days where they could come through the garage. Just come through the garage, drop their stuff off, and go on out. As I said, that shredding days are still important, because there's still some of us old timers left that still have paper. You don't see a lot of young people coming through the shredding. Everything they got out is online. Okay, those are good. Rapolo with the signage. We are holding off on the signage after all that work. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but there's a unincorporated area where there was issues with trucks cutting through the neighborhood, and this has been going on for a long time. We finally stepped up and worked with the sheriff's office and really tried to identify what signage was necessary to control the flow of traffic through that residential area. We had pretty well had it completed. We got the county to agree on the signs. We'd worked with the sheriff's office. We're gonna look at doing it this month, and now seems to be, we're still waiting for final confirmation, but it appears that developer is buying that unincorporated area, and we'll be tearing down all the homes and putting in some sort of commercial. So in that case, we're holding off. We're not gonna put signs up at this point until we know for sure which way it's going. The decennial Social Services Review Board, we were gonna start with the township review. If you remember, every 10 years we have to do the state review board. The other years we're doing a township one, and the idea being that we do a township one first, so we kind of get our feet wet, we get a basic format set up, and that would make the second one a lot easier because you'd already be formatted, you really have done you already have gone through most of these areas already, and then each year would just be sort of a catch-up, would just be cleaning up, maybe making some changes, this has changed, that changed. Well, it took us a little longer to get going, so now we have to have our first meeting for the decennial, which is the state one, by June 10th. So a date has been established, and the difference for the membership of the board is for the board, it'll be the same township board that we've had before in terms of Dick and David would be on there, and then four residents. We actually only have to have 3, but I have 4, and then a couple staff members. But now on the decennial, all trustees have to be on the board, as well as Connie and I have to be on there as well, too. I can still delegate to Dick to be the chairman of the committee, but it requires the participation of all elected officials, and in particular the trustees and the supervisor. The way we're looking at doing this is to have that initial meeting, which you all saw the date, go through what the purposes of the board is, go through what the format of the report is, and then I think we'll have our first presentation, because we want to get this moving along. I think social service will do their presentation, and then at the end, and then also at that meeting is set up a schedule for the basic meeting. So it'd probably be that meeting, introductory, setting up a calendar, and the first presentation. Second meeting will be the presentation of the other 2 social service boards, youth services and the adult and family counseling. Then probably break into 4 subcommittees. 2 of the subcommittees are pretty simple. One subcommittee is Connie doing the assessor's office, and the other subcommittee is he and I doing the road bridge. The other 2 subcommittees will split up the social services ones, those responsibilities, and they'll look at it. They'll each look at their area, set up their own schedule, their own time, and submit a report back to the full board. So let's say, I'm just talk top of my head. It's up to Dick and what you guys want to do. But let's say you have the social services with the food pantry, with the senior, the employment center, with the transportation, one subcommittee, and the other one be youth services and adult and family counseling. And 2 trustees would be on one, 2 trustees would be on the other, a staff member would be on each, 2 of the civilians would be on one, 2 of the civilians would be on the other, and then, like I said, Connie and I would have our own little subcommittees. And they can meet, you guys set up your schedule, however you're gonna do it, you wanna Zoom, you wanna meet in person, whatever you're gonna do, but then a report would be due by whatever date you guys set. Have a meeting where these reports are submitted, you review them all, and then have a second meeting when you approve them. And at that meeting, when you review them and discuss them, you should get it before that meeting. There's where you hammer out any things you want changed in those reports. Then they'll be written up, and at the final meeting, final discussion and approved. We've got 18 months to do it, but I don't want 18 months. I don't want it. So after June 10th, I'd like to have it done by the end of the year, at least. Because I don't want this to be ongoing, where it's an ongoing all year for you guys. And once we get this first one done, the follow-on ones we do for the next 9 years, we do for the township, can be, like I said, much more, they'll be all laid out. You guys should be able to look at what's been done and then just adjust from there. Okay. Let's see, anything else? I don't think so. I did notice that there was an issue in Schaumburg with the assessor's office. And the problem, once it,
Pardon?
There was an article in the paper about the assessor.
He's moved.
He no longer lives in the
yeah.
jurisdiction.
And the problem with it is that, once again, like you and I discussed, they need someone to CAIO, and there is, and somebody, that, there's a cost associated with that.
The spring conference with IPAI, I met one gentleman who was just completing his CIAO and told me he was going to be the next assessor.
Here?
In
Schaumburg.
In Schaumburg.
Okay.
I subsequently got a call from the supervisor of Schaumburg questioning me on this gentleman's remarks, because he floated it very generously through lots of people, and I verified that's what he told me, which concerned him. But
Well, he's got a split board there,
he's
too.
got a split board.
Well, the article in the paper said they had 2 or 3 people who were working on their,
Well, this gentleman was taking a class that I believe was his last class. So he should, at the end of that class, had his certification. I don't know about the other 2.
Okay. The issue is, that we've found, Connie was talking about, is that, let's say Connie doesn't run again, and, which is a possibility. Anyone that would run for assessor should have their CAIO prior to running, but it costs $2,000 to $3,000 to get your CAIO. Then if you don't win, you've just spent all that money. So to get somebody to, not only to run for the office, but then to get the CAIO becomes a problem. We can't pay someone to do that. The only way we could maybe get away with that is if we would appoint somebody midterm, and then pay them to, well, they may have to have it when we appoint them too, don't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got a this is a problem that Representative Mussman, her assistant indicated that they're aware of that's a problem.
could the local political organization who is going to slate the person pay for it?
They could,
Just a
if they
thought.
have the money to do it.
Yeah.
It could, that would be one way, is that the party finances it for someone that they're planning to put on the slate and pays for it.
And possibly be reimbursed if he's elected.
Right,
He
that's
or
what
she is elected. Because, for example, 100 years ago, I paid for it myself and was never reimbursed.
Yeah.
It was just.
And I don't know if we, I'd have to see if
That's even.
if that's even possible for the board to reimburse somebody that took the got the CAO before they were elected. That may not be allowed.
No,
Now,
I
a
was
party
thinking-
could,
I was thinking more in terms of the party.
well, the party could do that, I'm sure, yeah.
That probably would be the best way. If they're not elected,
They reimburse them?
you know, I don't know.
See, that's the,
Do they forgive the debt?
yeah, I don't know,
And maybe that's the hook.
yeah.
That here's the money for the classes. If you're elected, you reimburse us. If you're not elected, you know, we eliminate
Give the
the
debt,
debt.
yeah.
Oh, wait, you can also say if he's not elected, they didn't do a very good job.
No, the party didn't do a good job,
That's
maybe
right.
either, yeah. So, that's a little bit of a conundrum that we're talking about here, because Connie is looking at possibly retiring. She's done this for 500 years now, so.
I know, it's back to the
Did a
ice
good
age.
job.
And so this is something that we need to be aware of. If, let's say, for instance, for some reason, she would decide she needed to step down during her term, we would still have the same problem then. That would be a question, does anyone we appoint have to have the CIO? And if no one has it, what do you do? We'd have to
Generally speaking, what you do is.
hire,
You contract.
like
a
like
CIO.
Rupnow, like Rupnow's doing at
Barrington.
Barrington.
Yeah.
Rupnow was the assessor in Schaumburg, got defeated in the election. He has a CIO.
Then he went to work for the Board of Review.
Then he went for Board of Review,
Then I believe he retired.
right?
And
And then
now-
Barrington didn't have anyone run for assessor, so they hired him. So I guess you can contract for
You
that.
can't- The salaries are so pitifully low in southern Illinois that no one will run for this office, because as you say, there's a financial obligation to get certified. You certainly want an assessor who can add and subtract and know
Yeah.
what value is. So it's not uncommon now to have a multi-township assessor who is assessing 4, 5, 6, 7 townships.
Wow.
I wasn't aware, though, that you could contract, like Rupnow's contracted to do that. I would think that has to be an elected person, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but I would have to check on a time frame
Yeah,
for how
exactly.
long that can go
Go
on.
on, yeah. Yeah. All right, anyway, I threw that out there just because that's something we as a board need to be aware of, that is a unique position with unique requirements that,
The other thing too is, if I should decide to retire, we might think about my stepping down before the election so that that person could run as an incumbent.
and have time to do some training.
Right.
Okay, that's something we will, that'll have to be addressed, that, so we
Quick
get, we have continuity in the board. Yep.
How demanding is the class or the certification requirement?
Most of the people that get involved in this have a real estate background. Certainly, a lot of assessors have an appraisal background, but bottom line is, there's 4 core courses. And really what you're looking at is residential appraisal and what the methods of determining value are. Cost, big one, right? How much did it cost to build? That's what it's worth. Income approach, which is used primarily in commercial and industrial properties. We don't see a lot of that because the townships really, in Cook County, don't touch commercial and industrial. We focus on residential. And of course, the market value. What's it worth on the open market? So those are the 3 opinions of value. And the classes go through to explain to you how to extrapolate the data. Everything is computerized now. And I think probably it's important to have a basic knowledge before you hit that computer, because otherwise you're punching buttons. You don't know, why you got that amount, or if that is a good comp to the subject property that wants to appeal. So, yeah, the classes are good, but they are doable. And it used to be, I was all over the state taking my classes. I was in Decatur, I was in Springfield, I was in Bloomington, Now, because of COVID, they are available online. So you've eliminated the hotel and restaurant costs that, you know, for example, I incurred, whereas now you can do it online and you can take your tests online.
I think it's advantageous to have some background in like real estate, but it's not essential.
It's not essential.
No.
And I will tell you, a lot of people that have come through my classes, younger people, adapt very nicely to this.
Wonder if it would make sense to have someone from county's office go through the course.
All three of my staff are certified Illinois assessing officers. However, two do not live in the jurisdiction.
And when the other one makes more money than she would make as an assessor.
Yes, she would be taking a massive pay cut.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, so that's something, once again, this is something that we need to address to ensure the continuity of the board and the quality of the assessor's office. And it's just becoming a little bit more, as we move along here, it's becoming a little bit more important. We got 2 years before the next election. Okay. Corey, let's see, did anybody have any questions for me on the supervisor's report? No? No. Okay. Ed, can I get a motion to approve the reports?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call?
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee May.
Aye.
Trustee Perns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, we have on here in the correspondence, we were notified of the two conferences that are significant. These are the two primary ones. There's educational conferences like in Rockford that are one-day events that you can look at the agenda, and if it catches your attention, you can attend that. The township will pay for that for you to attend. These are the two major conferences, however. This is the TOCC annual meeting in Oak Brook, and then do we have in here, I thought I had in here we have the annual meeting for TOI.
Answered.
Do I have it? I didn't see it.
We have it.
Oh, it's on the backs? No. Anyway, do you see it?
Not yet.
Yeah, right in front.
Okay.
Oh, there, okay. Okay, got it. All right, so let me just mention TOI first. TOI is the Township Officials of Illinois Annual Educational Conference. As I said, they have one-day conferences, or meetings, seminars, so to speak, during the course of the year that provide training on maybe 2 or 3 subjects. And you go in the morning and come back in the evening. And I'll make sure that Sue Ellen gets that information out to you as they come available. And when you, in your Perspective magazine, everyone should be getting, it lists them in there too. Anytime you want to participate in one of those, you just notify Erica, and she will register you for the course. The township will pay for your fees as well as your mileage. The two big ones here, as I said, is the TOI, is the Township Official Illinois Annual Educational. That's in November. It's down in Springfield. This is a 2-day, 2.5-day event. And usually what we do is we'll go down, those that are attending will go down on a Sunday afternoon. That evening, we'll get together for dinner. Then the next day, there'll be a kickoff session. Usually they'll have a speaker. This last year, it was Gerald Ford's son, who is a inspirational speaker as well as an actor. I didn't realize he's a very well-known actor. I mean, very, if you realize what he did, what he acted in, you go, that was him? I mean, some significant, but he was inspirational as well as he did a very good job explaining about his father and his management style and his leadership style. They'll have speakers like that. And then after the opening ceremony, they'll also, in that opening ceremony, the administrator, the director of TOI will discuss issues concerning townships, and then there'll be our legislative, or our legislative director, the one who is our lobbyist, basically, will do presentation on the various legislation that affects us. Following that, you'll have a day, a half a day, and then the next day, a full day of sessions educational sessions. Some are very good, some are, yeah, worthless. I
If
mean,
you're new, it's really helpful.
yeah, if you're,
Yeah.
but the point is, yeah, and that was my point. Dick and Dale have been to this numerous times. I've been to it numerous times. I don't go every year, and Dick tends to go every year. Dale occasionally goes, I think now. But if you're new, there are enough sessions there where you really should try to attend. So we'll go, usually we'll, those that are gonna stay for the same amount of time will often drive down together on Sunday afternoon. Some then go back on Monday night, some go back on Tuesday night. The township pays for your registration, pays for your mileage, and pays for your food, your meals. Not liquor, but your food. So, that is one, if you can, look at this, gives you a little idea. So it's the early information on it. And just look at your calendar, and if you keep that free, please do. I usually will also encourage a couple staff members to attend, and that gives us a good opportunity to interface with our staff a little bit and when we particularly go out to dinner as a team. Last year was Corey and Andrea went, and it was a good opportunity to get to know their department a little bit. The second one is TOCC, that's the Township Officials of Cook County. That one's gonna be June 22nd. It's just an evening, 5 o'clock to 8:30, 9 o'clock, usually goes around 9 o'clock. I will be attending that. I will drive anyone that wants to attend. Once again, for the newer members, I would strongly recommend it. The first couple of years, these conferences, I think, are beneficial in terms of the educational component. As you've done this for a while, you can become more selective in what you want to attend or don't want to attend. This one is going to start at 5 down in Oak Brook, and I said end a little later. There's a couple very interesting sessions that should be, IGA's, intergovernmental agreements. We've been doing those. Township mental health service delivery, that's a very big issue. We're very heavily into that, and there's also a lot of activity about setting up mental health boards. Communication with residents is a good one. Senior and youth service programs gives you an idea of what other people are doing, not just us. The Decennial Commission on Efficiencies, you guys will all be experts on that by that time anyway, but it might be helpful. And then economical resident services, which is kind of interesting to me. I'd like to hear what they have to say. The things to do on this is please notify Paul and Erica if you plan to attend, and copy me so I know who's going or not going. And then we can coordinate driving to the TOCC, and then next fall, when we get closer to the November one, we can coordinate, who wants to drive together, depending on how long each of us are staying. Okay, any questions on the two conferences? And are you guys getting Perspective yet? Are you getting that?
I've not received
Are you
one.
getting Perspective magazine yet?
No.
All right, can you
Yeah, I can
check on
ask
that?
Izzy about that.
Make sure they're getting the, Perspective is a monthly magazine that Toy puts out, the Township Officials of Illinois. It provides in the back, it has a schedule of all the things we need to do chronologically. This report has to be filed, that report has to be filed. You don't have to do it specifically, but it makes you aware of what has to be done. It has a legislative update. It has sections by the head of the Clerk's group, by the head of the Supervisor's group. It also lists all the different educational things that are going on, conferences are going on. It's a good way to catch up on, just keep on top of what's kind of going on. So we'll make sure you're getting that. And that's the one, too, where you should watch, and Sue Ellen will get out to you, but on these one-day educational conferences, or seminars, so to speak. Dick, did you and I go to one of those last, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I went to one in Rockford, didn't we?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, we went to the,
We went to the one down in
Toy, but-
Springfield. I went with somebody to the one in,
Oh,
I
no.
went with Vince to the one in one of the ones in Rockford, because they were addressing an issue that I was interested in, so. Okay, that's the conferences. Let's see, is there anything else? No, that's correspondence. Being no more correspondence. Old business. There's been a proposal to sponsor the Elk Grove Township Village Parade. They've put out, and we see this periodically from organizations to sponsor, not organizations, government bodies to sponsor events. Historically, what we've done is we have been co-sponsors or sponsored events for our agencies and events for non-governmental bodies, but we have not tended to sponsor government body events. And actually, if you look at like Elk Grove Village, they helped sponsor, they sponsored a Dollars for Scholars event, and Mount Prospect sponsored that as well too, which is a nonprofit organization one, but they did not sponsor our CEF, the Community Empowerment Fund. And I believe they didn't do that because it was a government-affiliated body. And my gut feeling, unless people feel otherwise, and Sue Ellen, please, enter in if you believe differently or feel otherwise, that we probably should not get into the habit of sponsoring municipal or government body events. We can participate in them. We can be in the parades and pay the fee to be in it, but not to sponsor it per se. I don't know, is there any discussion on this? There doesn't have to be a motion to approve or disapprove or anything. We can just let it die if we want to. Or if someone wants to make a motion to be a sponsor, we can do that too.
I think it's more for the businesses myself, rather than, they sent this out, it does say Dear Business.
Yeah, I think so.
It went to everyone who was in the parade.
I think so. I think it's, it's okay for them to ask. It's just that, all our money comes from the taxpayer. So it's basically, we're taking their taxpayer dollars from our governmental body and give it to the other governmental body. If it was, a group or something that we support or something was doing a function, that would be worth discussion, I think, but not just like taken from government to give to government. I don't see the point.
All right. If there's no motion, is there a motion to approve? If not, we'll move forward. Okay. All right, let's go to new business. Here we have a resolution 2020-03, resolution to allow service credit for military leave. What this is, IRMF says we need to have this resolution in place. What it allows someone to do, if someone is in the IRMF program, which is the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, which is what we're in, and just so you know, at this particular stage, the assessor is the only member participating in the IRMF. The trustees have never been in the IRMF because they don't put enough hours in to qualify. I think 600?
Yes.
600 hours. The clerk and the supervisor used to be in, but when they did an audit about how many years ago? 4 years ago or so, more than that, maybe 6 years ago. I took the clerk's office out of it because I couldn't justify that we were doing 600 hours. Mike and the supervisor does do 600 hours, but Mike was by God, we shouldn't be paying, we're all volunteers. He took the supervisor out. So at this stage, the supervisor, the clerk, and the trustees are not in the IRMF program, only the assessor. I don't know if we would ever put anybody back in. I don't know if we can, but at this point, there are no plans to do that. What this would do is for those people, not elected, not necessarily elected official, could be, but for like our staff that are in IRMF, and they get called up, let's say, on active duty. They're reservists, they get called up, or they enlist and they go on military, go into the military. After they come back from their active duty, or once their tour is up, or whatever you say, they come back and they take a job, another job that has IRMF. They can file for credit for those 4 years, 2 years, 8 years, whatever it is. And I believe they have to contribute what they would have contributed ordinarily if they were working, and the township has to provide a contribution like we're doing now for everyone who's in IRMF. So they could choose to go back and take advantage of those years of credit, but they'd have to pay what they would have paid, and the township would have to contribute a small amount, whatever. It's all by formula, and I'm not sure how that works. So what we're basically doing is we're approving, I guess we're approving IRMF's policy or process for giving credit to people that have served in the military either before they were in IRMF or in between IRMF jobs. Paul, do you have anything to add?
No, just that you may have two documents in your folder. I think I got most of them out. So there was another one that we had in there, and it wasn't the correct one. So this is what we have to follow with Landmeier.
We do not at this time at this time, I don't believe we have anyone who was in RMF, went in the military, went into IRMF. We do have several people, including on this board, who served before they were in IRMF that it appears would qualify for this. But we're also trying to get further clarification from our attorney. But we want to put this in because whatever IRMF allows, our township should allow. And so we want to go ahead and have this approved, and then we'll go into more of the details as specifically how it's processed or executed. And then we'll see if we have anybody that should take advantage of it, anybody that could take advantage of it, and we'll look at it at that point. Okay? All right, so you've got the forms there that IRMF would require us to, is it, Paul, those are we have to approve, the resolution is approving these forms?
Yeah, this is their resolution form.
Okay, we're approving their resolution form is what we're doing, making it. So let me get a motion to approve, and then a motion to, a second, and then we can have any further discussion.
So moved. Second.
Okay, let's have discussion. Anybody want to ask anything on here?
No.
Okay. It is a little bit, I thought I understood it, then Paul and I were talking today, and I thought it was just for somebody who's IRMF, got a military IRMF, but it appears it may be somebody before and then came into IRMF, took a job with IRMF and could go back and take those years. I mean, there's a cost, but still, if it gets you to a retirement stage, I mean, if it gets you to retirement quicker, that's fairly significant, you know, so anyway, so we'll have more, I'll have more information on Paul, I'll have Paul do a little more work, and then next board meeting, hopefully we can explain a little bit better. But I think that we do want to approve the resolution. So, any other discussion?
No.
If not, we have a motion to approve in a second, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski.
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee May.
Aye.
Trustee Perns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, transfer of appropriation. So, as you know, as I think most of you guys know, maybe the new guys don't, but in our budget, at the end of the year, it's got to be, the budget has to be balanced. So, if we have a line item where we spent more than we were supposed to, we need to offset that. Or we need to bring up, we need to bring up the dollar amount to meet what that actual expense was from what was budgeted. What we can do is if we have a line item where we didn't use all the money, we can transfer that across and plus up this item and just take down the other one to the level where it's balanced. We can do up to 10% of the budget amount that way. If we have to move more than 10%, then we have to go with an amended budget and basically have to submit and we have to put forward a tentative budget. They have to have it sit for review and then has to have it approved. What we found is we are going to have to amend the budgets. Both the town social services and sewer, we have to amend that, and then the road department budget, we have to amend that. Now, the reason for that is, let me start with road department. personal property replacement tax is a dollar amount that we get from the state that they rebate back to us on a tax that they took over from the municipalities and from local government. So there was a tax, which I don't know, sales tax or income tax, that was taken by the state, and when they took it, the municipalities and townships said, hey, this is a source of income for us. So the deal was cut that they would rebate some of what they collect back to the townships and the villages. The way to make it more complicated, for the road and bridge, the state rebates, if you want to call it the way, money back to the township, and then we take a portion of what we get and give it to the municipalities. So we had budgeted, which is normal, that we get about $100,000 from the state, okay, in the PPRT. We then budgeted that we would pay out $40,000 because it's a 40% payout. So we were budgeting $100,000 in revenue, $40,000 in expenses. Well, the revenue came in this year at $318,000, 3 times greater than what we normally get. So therefore, we had to, 40% of that's $125,000 that we had to pay out, that we had to pass on. Still a plus for us, but our expense was higher than what was projected because we only thought we'd pay out 40, we paid out 125. So that was one of the items that we have to balance. We have to do it's more than 10%. We have to do an amended budget that reflects the higher expense for the payout, the payment that we send to the villages. So it's not really, it's not a problem, it's just a bookkeeping resolution, so to speak. Now, on the town fund, social services and sewer, we were able to shift some across, but we still had more than the 10%, and that's primarily because of construction costs. And a lot of that's timing in terms of when we pay for things. So, for instance, instead of $600,000 that we had budgeted to pay out last year, we paid out $900,000. $900,000 was because it was covered the demolition, the fences, the bathroom, but then also it covers, which was not expected, the storm damage and the roof repairs that had to be done. Now, insurance covered that and paid for it, but we still had that expense. So even though it's net sum zero, nonetheless, it shows up on our budget on the expense side as a $350,000 or so expense. So we've got to balance, we have to do amended budget to account for that extra expense, even though we had the revenue to offset it. So, I mean, those are the two major things in each of these areas. There's other little ones, $10 above what we were supposed to. We have to do $10 from somewhere else. But these are the two major ones that are requiring us under the road and bridge and in the town and social services and sewer fund to have to do an amendment. Okay. Paul, do you have anything to add on that?
No, you covered it.
Okay.
Not too well.
Yeah, that's right. I'll forget it by tomorrow. All right, so let me have a motion on 2022, 2023 tentative budget for the town fund, social services, sewer, amended tentative budget.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion, any questions on this? Like I said, on this one, we were able to do some transfers. But there's still, after we did that, we were over 10% that we would have to move, and therefore we had to do an amended budget. And the primary reason on this, the primary, not the only, was the construction cost being construction and storm, Okay, if there's no further discussion, can you do a roll call?
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee May,
Aye.
Trustee Perns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, now the 2022 to 2020 tentative budget for the road department. Once again, as I explained on that, this largely has to do with the PPRT, the replacement tax, and that we had to pay out more than we normally do because we got more money than we normally do. And so it's really a bookkeeping adjustment. So is there a motion to approve the amended road department budget?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley,
Aye.
trustee May,
Aye.
trustee Perns,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Paul, is it now with the tentative approved, or the tentative, yeah, I guess you'd say approved, is it, now we have to wait 30 days before we,
Yeah, I'll send a notice to the Daily Herald tomorrow, which will be in Wednesday's paper, and it has to be at least 30 days from there to our next board meeting, which is like 35, 37 days, whatever. So we'll be covered on that, and then we'll have a public hearing at the June meeting, which will, public can come and make comment or whatever. That gets approved, and then at the board meeting, immediately after that hearing, I presume you'll approve the amended budgets on both. It's the same process that we did for the original budget. You have to do the same thing, so it's nothing different.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
and that hearing we do, we usually schedule that like 15 minutes before, because we usually don't have any controversy or any issue with people coming in.
I'll remind you in the email that gets sent out with that board packet that the public hearing will be immediately before the board meeting.
Okay.
It's usually at 5, like 6:55 or something.
And if for some reason we did have residents come in to address some, I don't know what they would, but address or want to address an issue or two, then the regular meeting just gets pushed back.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you guys approve the transfers of appropriation?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't vote on
Oh, do we
that.
vote on it? Okay,
I wondered what happened, thank you.
all right. So on the transfer of appropriations, we do the amended budgets, but we also have to approve the transfer of appropriations, because we did do some transfer of appropriations before we went to have to amend it. So if I get a motion to approve the transfers of appropriations for the town fund and social services.
So moved. Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley,
Aye.
trustee May,
Aye.
trustee Perns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, so if anybody has any questions over what this process is, come get me afterwards, but it's a transfer of funds to balance the budget, and then if it's more than 10%, we have to do an amended. Okay, is there any discussion or comments the trustees want to bring up before we go into executive session? Okay. This is a period where you can bring up whatever, any questions or any comments, or you don't like, the shirt I'm wearing or something like that. I don't know, whatever, however you
I
want.
love the shirt you're
Oh,
wearing.
you like? All right, if there are no discussion, no comments, we'll go to executive session under OMA 2C1, compensation related to employee compensation. I'll call I have to call the meeting.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I need to get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Go to executive?
No, the motion to go to executive session.
Yeah.
The motion to go to executive session.
Okay,
So
suspension.
moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will meet in the room back there, and then once we're done here, we'll come back out, and at that point, any business that needs to be conducted will be done here. Call the regular board meeting of the Elk Grove Township Trustees to order. Roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Present.
trustee Keenley,
Present.
trustee May,
Present.
trustee Perns.
Present.
Supervisor Bussie.
Present. Okay, I'm going to look for two items and get motions to approve. In regard to the salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, I'd like to get a motion for giving the supervisor and the administrator discretion to give increases of up to 5% with a baseline of 3% for this fiscal year.
Motion.
Second.
So moved, seconded, okay. Any further discussion? All right, if not, roll call.
Trustee Niardowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee May,
Aye.
trustee Perns,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, in terms of the compensation for specific employees, in this case, the administrator, I'd like a motion to approve the increase that was discussed and came to a consensus in the closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? I'm
Aye.
sorry, roll call?
Trustee Niardowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley,
Aye.
trustee May,
Aye.
trustee Perns,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, if there's no further business, then is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Oh, I gotta let the senior.
Senior, in and out.
So moved.
Second.
All in,
If they don't tell you.
all in favor?
Aye.